Welcome to the SBP Podcast, the voice of mobile film. I'm your host, Susie Botello, and you're listening to episode 72. So, are you thinking about creating a franchise with your next film? Our guest for this episode of the SBP Podcast is Demetrius Witherspoon in Indianapolis. He's on the judging panel of this year's International Mobile Film Festival in San Diego. And Demetrius has created a franchise from his film series. And it comes complete with action figures. Now, Demetrius is going to share a bit about his impression on mobile filmmaking because he's been on the judging panel since last year. But then he's going to share some really good tips on how you, too, can create a franchise from your film. And guess what? Just in case you're wondering, you can start right now. Hey everybody, welcome to the SBP Podcast. I am here with a special guest, someone I met a while back, a couple years ago in Indianapolis for the Indie Shorts, part of the Heartland Films or Film Programs, Film Festival. And his name is Demetrius Witherspoon. Hi, Demetrius.
Hey, Susie, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I want to make an announcement to everybody that, a few things, but one of the things that I want to make sure that we point out is that you were one of the judges for the short films competition last year for the International Mobile Film Festival.
Yes, it was so awesome. It was some wonderful films that came out of your film festival that we were able to see. Oh, man.
Yeah. And, for all of you listening, he's going to be, he's returning. So you didn't scare him. You inspired him, I think, a little bit.
Yes.
And the films are at least 3 times better this year from the ones that I've seen so far. We haven't selected any yet, but the ones that I've seen are pretty outstanding, just amazing. You'll be impressed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Demetrius is basically has, I'll let Demetrius tell you a little bit, but I just want to head it off saying, it's a real pleasure and an honor having you as a judge at the film festival. I'm honored to even know you. Demetrius has done a lot of things in his life, from R&B to a film franchise. few things in between. But that's
just a little bit.
Right? We're going to go from the foot to the top of the head, right away. But he's done some sci-fi filmmaking, and he's very well respected in the industry and in your community out there. Because you're in Indiana. Do you live in Indianapolis, or do you live in another area out there?
No, I live in Indianapolis. I've been here for 26 years.
Wow.
So it's nice.
Yeah, that's your hometown then, pretty much. I read that you you were born in Kentucky, right?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Bardstown, Kentucky, which is bourbon capital there.
Bourbon chicken.
A bourbon chicken, but a lot of other kind of bourbon, right, which permeated the skies in the summertime with all the heat. But growing up there, and then I came to Indy, and then from there, really getting into music and then film, and coming to what I'm doing now.
How did you go from music to film? How did you even get into music first? Because that's also for some of our listeners, maybe even dreaming about doing that in the first place.
Yeah, really come at a time where the independent music, musicians and things like that was happening, and everybody had their own little studio at their house or what have you. So it was just the right time, and the technology was there. And that's the same way that happened with film too. So everybody had access to this technology to be able to record things and be able to get it on iTunes yourself. So first of all, my first passion was art. That's what I started out with in high school and things like that, acrylics and doing shirts and things like that for people, and portraits. Did a lot of that. So got into music, really liked music. I didn't play keyboards so good, but I was learning, but mostly a vocalist. So I was in different bands, and then did my own solo album and had a live band, and we performed live around Indianapolis and in the Kentucky area. But I always wanted to, I always loved video and movies and things like that. And I always wanted to get into that. And so when I did my next single after my album, then I was like, I want to shoot a music video. I borrowed some money from my brother, and we rented a camera, and me and my 14-year-old daughter, we looked at YouTube and sat there to learn, what kind of camera angles we need to do and how to work the camera. And we shot 3 music videos within the week, because I had the camera for a week.
You and your daughter both shot videos for music videos?
Yes. She helped me, and then I had another a friend of mine. He was a photographer, and so I just kind of had him hold the camera, if I'm doing the singing and things like that, and had my daughters in the video because they were on the album playing cello and violin. Wow. And it was just an awesome experience, and getting people that never really acted, just going in and doing it guerrilla style, where I like this alley, let's do it, and nice. So when I kind of put it out and the response back from it, I was like, people really enjoyed it. And I was like, you know what, this is what I want to do.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. No, really, because, that must have been a really cool experience for your daughter as well. And I want you to share with me if that inspired her, and if she's still working with you. I want to let our listeners know there's one of the things that we're going to be discussing pretty soon here too is how you can create a franchise from your films as well, because it doesn't matter whether you shot it on a phone or not. It's really about the stories, and if you're on that mindset right from the beginning, from the get-go, before you even start filming, that you're going to create a franchise from these things. I just want to make sure that our listeners know this is pretty awesome. What Demetrius has in store for you here in this episode. But tell me more about how that connected you to what you're doing today and with your daughter and everything. Is she still doing that?
Well, she did get into doing photography, and so we were able to work together doing that. And so she lives in Ohio now, and I think she's still doing that. But it really was a family affair. My kids were helping get things together. I have 4 kids, by the way. So
wow.
my wife, she did the cooking and things for the cast and crew. She still does that.
The head chef of the craft services department, right?
Yes. Everybody loves her cookies. So, we, it is a family affair and team to kind of, bring these things about. But, so we went from there, and I asked the actress that I was working with, because she had, the only thing she ever acted in was my music video. Mm-hmm. And so I said, would you like to do an action film, a sci-fi action film? She said, oh, I would love to do that. And so I started writing the story and kind of got inspired. I really liked Stargate and Farscape, even Twilight Zone, Battlestar Galactica, Star Wars, of course. So all of that factored into what I was trying to write at the time. But also there was a lady that would do panhandling on the side of the street when I was going to work, and I would help whenever I could. But I was like, man, what it took for her to be in this situation in her life right now. And, she was out there faithfully. And so I was like, well, what if she got thrown into a multi-universe and she had, she was being chased. She got thrown into a multi-universe, and she has to find her way out and find her child.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And so that started, what we did. And so it was probably about 8, maybe 9 of us.
So wait, so you went from a little spark of imagination, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And next thing you know, you got 9 people believing in it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell me just a little bit. Tell us a little bit about how that happened, that connection.
I think working in the music world kind of helped me, because it's not too far away from each other, working in film and working in music production. Mm-hmm. So I enjoy doing marketing and things like that. So I kind of looked on Facebook, looked under different models pages and things, and just reached out to people and said, hey, would you like to be in my film? I would sit down with them, talk about it, whatever, and see if that's something they wanted to do. So, and I'm not afraid to talk to people, as you already know. So, just kind of reached out to some of them like that. And then we just slowly started talking with people. Like I reached out to different makeup artists I would see on the modeling pages, and just say, hey, I'm just starting, and you can get some credit going, but I'm just starting.
Did you write a screenplay before you started getting people together, or was that just the creative process that happened along the way?
No, I had the screenplay done.
Okay.
And I already had my lead actress, so I just started kind of going from there. Nice. And so, yeah, we found different people and went into my mother's closet. She was a seamstress, and I was like, I want that ream of red there. And I made everybody wear black. And so we accented with that. And, I love anything that's artsy. I mean, from art, from sewing and all that. So I go on YouTube and learn how to make cloaks without sewing. And then, so I would do some of those. Plus my wife, she sewed. So they kind of sewed some of the outfits, but a lot of the stuff, as long as people wore black, we were able to accent it with different material. So, then this is all before I really start meeting filmmakers and knowing to use what you have available. So right. I knew I had parks, and learned a lot from that. When some parks, if you don't check, here comes a wedding party coming down while you are trying to film. And the mother-in-law's like, no, you guys are not filming here. We just paid thousands of dollars for this spot. So, yeah.
That's got to be heartbreaking.
Yeah, but it taught me a lot. It taught me that, hey, I need to be checking on locations and, making sure my schedule's right. And
asking all the right questions before you pay.
Yeah. And it was kind of raining out. So I was like, why are y'all still going on with the wedding? So anyway, yeah. But yeah, learned a lot as I went along, and each time just really trying to get better. And by that time, I shot that and got into film festival with it.
Yeah.
Because I started meeting with filmmakers, and they was like, hey, you should get it into this film festival and get into Gen Con. Gen Con was one of my first big festivals.
Wow.
There was one that the IFN had before that in Bloomington.
And that's Indiana Filmmakers Network, so everyone knows. They're one of our sponsors, actually.
Yeah. That was actually one of the first film festivals I ever been to. And it's just funny, all the people that I met. Now we've worked together and just have this relationship. But I was just new to the game, and I was like, hey, here goes my film, and I'm going to do another one. And so from there, it went to Gen Con, which Gen Con is a gaming convention. It's the largest in the United States, well, probably in the world. It has over 70,000 people come through, and it's like card games and board games. But they have a film festival. And so people from all over the world come to the film festival. So that was my first big one. And, I love sci-fi, but I had never been to a convention before. I seen them on TV and say, hey, look at those people dressing up. Kind of funny. But now I was in it, and just really, it was just eye-opening. And that's like, okay.
Well, yeah, the way the cosplayers are dressing up as actual characters. So it's very fitting.
Yes. And so I started learning. I was like, okay, so these cosplayers have their own trading cards. Is that something I can do on my end? Yes, I can do that. And, from that point, just started writing my next script and learning so much right there at the convention. How to start marketing, and it's still about story, but what I'm going to do different next time. So like it influenced me to in between shooting, I took out probably about an hour and a half, and while everybody's still in costume with green screen, got everybody's shots, different angles, everything, and that helped when we start promoting on the end, and I was able to make posters and all those kind of things.
By thinking about doing some of the things that you did with your film and in starting it off, planning to franchise it somehow, it kind of opens up doors for marketing to, really kick up the promotion of their film, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's very important because you work so hard on these films. You gotta be able to put it out there, and it has to stay in front of people. So here's what I started with. First of all, I grew up in the era with Star Wars.
Nice.
That. Come on, that was just
and it's
huge.
Still going on. There's a bunch of kids out still, growing up with it too right now.
Right. And so action figures and everything else that they have now and had back then. And so that was inspiring. And so I knew that I had to keep it in front of people's faces. Sometimes people are going to get tired of it, but that was the only way to make sure people understood what I had going on. Plus, making sure it's in film festivals, and as much as you can be there with your film, because a lot of times it's not so much you showing your film, but the connections and the networking that you do while you're showing your films. And plus, you do get fans after a while, but you have to be consistent. And so I think coming from the music world too, I knew about promoting and marketing myself, but it's all self-taught. And so anything that I'm about to get into, the world is open to you of learning anything you want to do, because the internet is there. So if I wanted to learn how to market my film, if I wanted to learn how to market my action figures and my comic books and all the other things, the internet and YouTube, blogs are all there.
That is so true. And the other thing I was going to say too, which might be helpful, let me know what you think, is even if you haven't completed your film or made your film, I think film festivals, because of the connections that you make and the people you talk to and the things you see and the experience overall that you gain from being around people who are making films, is a good idea, yes. Even before. What do you think?
Oh yeah, most definitely, because if you're at the right film festival, well, you never know who you're going to see and who's really there, and so you want to go, because sometimes, like, I was at a film festival and some of the actors from Walking Dead came to the film festival. They just wanted to see the films while they're eating their meal. So, you never know who's going to see your film or who's going to be there. And so, and even if you haven't finished your film yet, go to the film festival, because there's sometimes it could be directors and different people from LA or England, or Brazil that are there, and you can learn a lot. You have questions.
And you never know where they're going to go from there. Even if these are not famous people right there and then, you stay in touch, you meet them, and they'll remember you. And, you go, hey, your film is, in the movies. It's a blockbuster film. It's a hit. I just saw you on, I don't know, People Magazine or something. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. Collabing with people. You just never know who you will meet. And even if it's just a beginning filmmaker, they just went through the process that you haven't went through yet. And so they might have some, man, we shouldn't have did this, or we shouldn't have done that, but this worked. So once you go through the process, you have knowledge that someone else can use. And so I'm always open to give whatever help I can to filmmakers that are starting out, because, I don't know everything, but I know enough to be able to help. And if I don't know it, I can call somebody and get you the information that you need.
That's, I think, what helps a lot of people succeed, is knowing when to reach out to other people, and knowing where they are. You know what I'm saying? Like, for me, for example, I have this thing about, I haven't called on people, for a long time, but I don't forget, what people, well, like when you met me, right? We walked around that place and talked for hours. And, if something was to come up, which I connected with you, I would think, oh, Demetrius, and I would just contact you. And I think a lot of people do that, and they take that action. And it's a pretty cool thing to do. Just like people thinking of, just here in San Diego, the people who are going, mobile filmmaking. Oh, yeah, Susie. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. I mean, the more you do it and you're treating everybody the way you want to be treated, your name is, everything. So,
it's called integrity, right?
You're right. It comes back to you. So, and that goes for anybody on your set. It doesn't matter if they just started out or whatever. You treat them like they are golden. They're the top. They're Daniel Craig. They're Denzel Washington on the set, because that helps the actor, for one thing, that you respect what they're trying to do, even if they're starting out.
Yeah.
And you never know where they're going to end up. I've worked with actors that, I've seen the spark in them. And now, and I'm not saying it's because of me, because they followed their journey. They're on CW on Black Lightning. Katie O'Brien, I've been able to work with her a couple times, and she's on Black Lightning now. And, it's just, I'm so happy for people that are succeeding at their craft.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that I've met. And the other thing too is that someone who's the PA, the production assistant on a set today, in a couple years may be the director that hires you,
Yeah.
And so you just never know. And it's it's the nature of filmmaking, has a lot to do with teamwork. So there's always, you can tell when you walk on a set, even in a production meeting, you can feel the vibes, and the vibes in the room type thing between people. And no matter how bad things can get, it's going to succeed because you got the right people there.
Right. Yeah, and it's so important, and it's just like with anything, you learn as you go. There's your team is going to change as you go along, but eventually you'll start having a team that you guys you work together like a family, and not just keeping that click, but also adding to it, because what I was told and what I tried to do as much as possible is surround yourself with people that know more than you. Mm-hmm. And what that does is, for one thing, you learn so much from people that have worked on different sets than you have, or maybe, they know how to put the lighting and where to put the lighting. That's one less thing you have to worry about when you're on set. And, as long as people are not arrogant with it, right, and just try to take over on things. But majority of the time, it's just really surrounding yourself with people that know more than you, because you're going to need that. You're going to, because they want your project to succeed too. Their name is on it also. A lot of I've had movies where, like, oh man, this is good. I can show my mom this one. It's like, I can now show my mom this that I've been able to work on. I can't show her the other ones, but so
that's pretty cool. So what would be, let's say, if one of the mobile filmmakers that, or someone who's even thinking about making a film, and they're thinking, okay, you know what, I'm going to grab my iPhone or my Samsung or my Pixel or whatever, right? What would be the first advice when they're starting to put their story together? Because you're going through like, one of the things that you had a big discussion on that I remember was about creating the world for the characters. And that plays into the franchise, where the things that you're going to develop from that, right, too?
Yeah, it's very, very important. And again, I'm continuously learning how to do world building, but when you're building a franchise, everything's connected, and I know the beginning, I know the end, but it's that journey that has to happen with your characters, and you kind of look past the powers and whatever they're going to look like, but what is their story? What connects to you? So when people are starting out, you have your story. You can write it as big as you want, but remember, use what you have available. So, if you need a whole, football stadium, then, unless you know somebody that's going to be able to get you that, you might want to write it a little bit smaller than that, a little baseball field behind a school.
Or cheat it. You can cheat it.
Yeah, you can cheat it. So you want to use what you have available. If you have your own kitchen or somebody else's kitchen, parks are almost always free. Restaurants, little mom and pop, sometimes you can work out a deal with them. Go in, write down what you're trying to do. Hey, we want to film this, and I will be able to put your name on social media. This is what my film is about, and that's free promotion for them. So they're letting you come in, and you're also promoting them,
right?
Their place of business. So using what you have first of all, and then if you can, keep your story short. That for one thing, it helps you get it done and get it out. Because the first instinct is, I'm Steven Spielberg, I have to do me a 2-hour movie for my first thing. And that's not gonna work 9 times out of 10. So you'll be pulling your hair out. You just started. So,
you don't want to kill your dream that way either, because if you fail small, it's, you know what I mean? Fail short as opposed to fail feature.
Right. Yeah. It's just keep it as short as you can. And, especially, you use your phone and things like that, and put it into the film festivals, because you'll learn after a while, film festivals, you'll get in more festivals if your movie is between 1 minute and like 10 minutes at the most. That's really long. I think my first one was 15 minutes, and I didn't get into a whole lot of film festivals.
We used to do different versions depending on the film festivals in the films that I worked on, which is crazy. Like we used to do, there were every year we were going into different film festivals, but they were a lot of the same ones too. We already knew what they accepted, so.
Yeah. Some will do, 30 minutes, 20 minutes. It's just harder for the programmers to program it in if they got, 3 or 4 minute ones.
Yeah.
They can get more movies in there, So it's just something to kind of think about. I don't want to diminish anybody's dreams. If that's how long you want to do it, then go ahead. You still will get into some film festivals.
No, this is realistic, good advice to actually for people to listen to, because no matter how, it's also a challenge, right? If this is a really good story, you know what I'm saying, and you really want it to succeed, just do the different versions, because if it's good, it'll hold its own.
Right. Yeah, you can do a run of something and maybe cut it a little bit, to fit somewhere else. But yeah, just
so short.
Being able to do short, and get it out there. That's the thing, because you've done more than a lot of people, because some people are just still talking about, oh yeah, I'm going to do a film, or I have a screenplay, but they haven't shot it. Yeah. You know, it doesn't matter how bad it is or how good it is. You've done more than someone just talking about it. And you've got it out there, at least to a film festival. And what I've learned also for me is not to go in thinking I'm going to win an award. I'm not there to win an award. I'm putting my film in so people can see it, and also to meet and network with people. And if you keep that kind of mindset, it kind of helps you when you don't win, you know, you don't get depressed about that. Oh, my movie sucks or something, because it might not be that film festival. It might be another one. I've played my film locally and didn't win any awards. I play it outside of Indianapolis and I start winning awards. So
yeah, and you know what else? People can see you don't think as a human being that it shows that you're thinking that you're going to win. You know what I mean? But it comes through. I mean, people read it and people don't like it. No one wants to sit. No filmmaker wants to sit right next to someone who's going, oh yeah, my film's so much better than all of these.
Right. Yeah. And you know, it's like they always say, or is like your first film is just garbage or what have you, and then you know, you get better and better. But you know, whatever your film is, the very first one, you did it. Yeah. And you learn from it, and then you learn from mistakes or what have you, and you do it better. I know, like when I got to my third one, and I knew we was about to do the fourth one, and I knew how many wonderful people, visual effects, and storyline I had coming, and I walked out of my third one when it was showing at the film festival. And so my production manager, Mary, she came out. She's like, what's wrong? I was like, I just know that my next film is better than this. I couldn't sit there and watch it. Uh-huh. And it's going to be better than that. And she's like, it's going to be all right. And I go back in there, and people were really into the film because they had never seen it before. And so, you know, you're seeing it. You've been seeing it over and over and over. But you got to realize these are people who have never seen your film before. And so they're taking things from it that you've never even thought about.
That happens to me, you know, when I create anything where I'm going after I'm going, oh, I could have, because, you know, I'm an artist too. And it's kind of like, it's never really done. It's just that like this deadline that comes up basically. And you're going, gotta stop and just get it out there now.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes it's a lot of pressure. And I think the more awards you win, the more pressure it is too.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, everybody wants to be rewarded for something they've created, and you know, your whole team. If I win an award, it's not for me; it's for my whole team, because we work really hard on the film, and so I take it on that I have to promote this till the wheels fall off, because I want them to be proud of it too. And so that's kind of part of my process.
Yeah. And, you know, so, all right, now let's talk a little bit about mobile films. What would you say, since you got to see a good number of them? I'm just realizing that I don't know how to put this in the right way. Sometimes you say something and it comes out the wrong way, but I'm going to do my best to not offend anyone. But it just seems like, okay, so there's the indie filmmakers, right, that have experienced using, you know, making films and using traditional cameras. they're still
Mm-hmm.
learning, and they would say that themselves, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But they're used to the typical film, right, that they make with a regular camera. And then I almost feel like saying something like, Harry Potter, right? There's a stick.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, this is not a stick. This is a magic wand. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
how I see the traditional filmmaker who goes to make a film using a phone camera, not all of them, but a lot of them, as opposed to someone who grabs the phone, who's never made a film before and just goes, oh my God, this is a camera. I can make a movie. It's so magical. They don't have to unlearn anything or open up another door of creativity, because it's not just a camera. It can do things that regular cameras can't do, believe it or not, even though regular cameras are like this complicated beast.
Yeah.
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 And I just want to say that I really believe that a filmmaker who's made a film should put like the blinders on and say, forget everything I've learned and work with this magical little device and make my film, don't erase everything you've learned, but erase the whole camera stuff. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Well, no. Most definitely, I understand what you're saying, and it's just like an artist. An artist some artists will use paintbrushes, some will use pencil, but they're still making a painting or they're still making a picture. Okay, so it's about the tool, and that's what the cameras are now. You think back of what they were a long time ago, but now what they are now, they're shooting 4K. They have the multiple camera lenses on them where you can attach them. So it is another tool, and a lot of times it's a better than some low end cameras.
Yeah. Well,
and
I know. I think,
and the other thing is more accessible.
Yeah, it
it's
has
more
also
accessible
to do with the filmmaker, to their perception of it and how they're going to use it. Like taking advantage of all that's available in a smartphone camera. There are apps and all sorts of things.
Yeah. And I, ever since taking your class, the panel
That's
that
right,
you did.
I forgot.
I was there, and it really inspired me. I still want to shoot something. I want to get a better phone, but I want to shoot something, and with that, but I use it when I talk, and I talk up your film festival. But I use it when I do my panels about filmmaking and getting started. And people are like, okay, so what kind of camera I need to get, and blah, blah, blah. I said, reach in your pocket right now, pull out what you got. Mm-hmm. What do you have? Oh, I got my phone. You can use that. And I start talking about that, and their eyes light up. And I was like, there's an international film festival that takes, and I talk about your film festival. And so the opportunities there are endless. And it's just like with any tool or anything that in the right hands and people learn how to use it correctly, it can make beautiful pictures, beautiful movies.
Yeah. I mean, I've been watching a few thousand films over the course of all this. Yeah. And it always astonishes me because, I also, watch movies and see, go to places and watch independent films and things like that. And I'm going, there's, we also have films that get submitted and they're from, traditional filmmakers giving it a shot. But I'm like, I'm looking at the films and I'm going, they're so magical that someone who with no traditional, quote unquote, professional filmmaking experience
Yes.
puts out this amazing little film in under 5 minutes, and it is beautiful. And then there's a whole discussion about how hard it is to create a story in a short film. You know what I mean? Tell a story in a short film versus a feature film, and that's creativity too. But
That is.
the just aesthetically, what people are doing with an app like Filmic Pro, for example, and grabbing a gimbal or using, lenses for their cameras. And those are just some simple little tools. They're not, I'm not talking about putting it on a crane, but you can cheat the crane shot with a gimbal. I've shot things, without. I don't know if I told you about this in the panel, but just putting it on slow motion, or maybe your listeners may appreciate that. But if you're doing a pan shot from left to right, right to left, or whatever, and you put it on slow motion, it'll smoothen out that pan without even using a gimbal or stabilizer or anything.
Nice. Now, see, that's because you've been using your tool, the phone, and you worked out.
I learned that sitting at Starbucks one day.
See, that's what I'm talking about. So, I my hat goes off to you, because you do some amazing things with the phone, and it's been a privilege and an honor to be able to be a judge for your film festival, which is internationally. It was just awesome to see films from France and Russia and all different places. So, this people are starting to learn, and I think, with Apple, with what they're doing, they're pushing it because these things are happening. Feature-length movies are happening with these phones.
Yeah, we're going to show, hopefully you'll be able to make it out this year. Jed Brophy from The Hobbit. He's going to come out and present. He starred. He's been in our podcast before too. He's one of the ambassadors. Him and Mark Hadlow, Jed Brophy, Mark Hadlow. They're two of our ambassadors for the film festival, and they starred together on a film that was shot. It went viral. It's called Blue Moon. As a matter of fact, I was talking to my cell phone provider, whatever you want to call it, and I went off about, because I always do. I don't know how, but it always ends up. And I mentioned Blue Moon, the movie, and she says, "Oh, you know what? I've heard about that," because she's starting to delve in this thing. She's a comedian, and she said she was thinking about doing some road story on a road trip or something with her phone.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and she said, "I heard about that film," and I said, "Oh, that's wonderful." So it's gone viral, and he's coming. We're going to be doing a special feature presentation. This is out of competition of that film in our film festival. But he's coming as an ambassador, and he's going to do a Q&A and everything. And, the thing is, he's actually pretty excited. This is someone he was on District 9, King Kong, Lord of the Rings, almost all the Peter Jackson movies that I can think of.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he's really super excited about coming out and maybe meeting the mobile filmmaking community, because to people like him who really get it, this is the future. And, real down to earth people like that, they really want to connect with and inspire more people. It's always a good thing.
Yes. Yeah, that's so important. And, you had asked about how I kind of built the franchise. A lot of people said, well, you can't do anything with a short. So my first film was 15 minutes. So I was like, well, I'll just continue the story and, and make each film. So each time, did like an 8-minute, then a 20-minute, and then a 30-minute, and then another 20 minutes. So it created multiple stories. And then I was able to put them on DVD, and started that series. And so then it got picked up in Japan.
Wow.
For small distribution. And so
congratulations.
Well, thank you. And so just doing it like that, I was like, well, okay, well, I'll just stick with this. The first thing, people like what I was doing, so I'm gonna stick with it and keep growing it. And the other thing was, like I said, looking at Spielberg and things like that, the merchandise and things that go along with that. I'm at sci-fi conventions. I have a booth. So not only do I have my film, I have my posters. We have a card game that's inspired by my film. That's coming out in just a few weeks.
What is that film called? The one that's coming out?
Submerge Blue Star is the fifth film in my series, in the Submerge series. And that will be out toward like the end of June.
Nice.
So that would be out then. And then we're working on a feature film, Submerge Galaxy of Subversion. We're just trying to get funding for that.
We'll have to share a link with everyone
story
for that.
Yes. Our website, you can donate on the website also, and we'll be doing a Indiegogo also along with that. But we are continuing the story of.
You have action figures on some of these, right?
Yes.
How does that happen? How do you make that? How would someone be able to, like, do you just wake up one day and go, oh, you know what? I'll just go Google that. Or how did you do that?
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Are you serious?
I take time out to actually do marketing searches and things like that. And so, so one day it might be action figures. I want to learn everything I can. And the other thing is connecting with all the groups on Facebook. It's just free advertisement. True. And in those pages, you're going to find people that they also make action figures. And so you contact with them, you network with them, and you can have an action figure.
Gosh.
So, I've done that. We have tennis shoes. We have the action figures. The card game is about to come out. One of my photographers, I didn't know that he created games, board games and things like that. And when I was just like, this has been 5 years now, and we go to Gen Con a lot or different places for games. And I was like, I really need to find somebody that can make a game off my film. And he's like, well, give me a crack at it. And he did it. And Submerge Echo 51, it's been amazing. We've play tested for 2 years. A lot of people have enjoyed it. We've done it at conventions and things, got a lot of good response. So actually just today, our artist just finished the last card, the last revision. And so everything's done, the box, everything. So at least by the end of the month, we will be really heavy in pre-order for our new Submerge card game.
So are you going to have like your own, well, not a museum, but like a store for your film, for do you see something like that happening in a few years?
Well, yeah, probably more extensive, but Actually, we already had like a little Submerge owl, and there was a store in. Oh man, my mind is going. Where they talk about aliens and all that all the time.
Where they talk about the UFO convention?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So what's that area called?
Area 51.
Area 51 and
Roswell.
That town. So,
Roswell.
Yes, Roswell. Yeah. So there was a lady that she had a podcast. She got to see the movie. She loved it. She's like, I want everything submerged. So she bought the book. She bought the DVDs, all of that, and had a Submerge owl. I got pictures of it. It was in a Location 6 store in Roswell, New Mexico. So, yeah. So, but eventually, that was before the action figures and things. So, yes, I can see that happening, and we're just going to keep pushing. You just keep pushing, and and collabing with people. Yeah.
I think also that part of, you have to be a bit of an, there's the introverts and the extroverts and things like that. There's the bitroverts, which is what I call me, where you kind of, you have to be able to just share things with people. Just don't be shy. Just share, because you never know who's around, who might, like the guy with your game thing who said, let me have a crack at it. Had you not mentioned that, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't have known. I think it was about a year that he was just taking pictures and stuff. I didn't know he had made all these games. And so, that's what I try to encourage young people today, or anyone. You have to let somebody know about. It's not bragging. It's how you communicate what you're doing, because nobody else will know about it. And you have social media is free. Instagram, Facebook, use your social media to promote your film or your project from the time before you even start writing. Hey, I'm making a script. And people love following your journey. If you let them in and they follow your journey, then they'll be fans for life. And we have, just in our short period of time of 7 years of doing this, we have some loyal fans from all different places. We're selling DVDs in Finland, and we have people. Quick story. I had someone, a few years ago, buy like everything we had, and then she sent her father to the convention, a sci-fi convention, just to buy something from our booth, because she was living in Vegas at the time, and she said, "Dad, I want the new novel that they have." And he's like, "I just come here, I want it." And we hadn't even put the novel out yet. We haven't even did pre-order. That was my first pre-order. I was like, okay, well, it's going to be this much. And we took down his name and stuff. And so you just never know.
Wow, that's amazing. Because it inspires people to see other people doing something they feel passionate about and succeeding. And I think when they get things, they love your stuff, but then to physically have it, is a touchy, I can put my fingers on it. I can touch this. Somebody made this, and they were just as passionate as I am about, I don't know, Lord of the Flies or something.
Right.
They are about this thing, and I think that's the power of connection and just being open to sharing your creativity and your work and doing what you said, because I tell people that all the time. And when you're planning to make a movie, in the traditional industry, you go to your network. You know what I'm saying? People are on the phone all day. They have no time for anything. but they're, right?
Right.
But in
Yep.
mobile film and in people who don't have that kind of a network, one of the best ways to even build it is just go on, Facebook or Instagram or whatever and just say, hey, I don't know about going to Twitter for something like this, but hey, why not, right? I need a kid's bedroom. I don't have kids, and I need a kid's bedroom to shoot a scene. Would you all let me? I really think too that the mobile filmmaking thing helps open more doors for people, because you were talking about the restaurant before, and I would think that if I owned a restaurant, I've actually shot in restaurants, and we literally took over the restaurants. Okay, it was horrible,
Right.
and it took all day, and I'm like, wow, all we did ended up shooting. There was like maybe 10 minutes for 3 minutes of a scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Yeah.
And, you go in there with a phone and say, hey, we'll just do it over there in the back. You don't have to shut down your business. And, the natural sound is great. You know what I mean? And just shoot it with your phone, or do it guerrilla style. But, you can.
Yeah. You get more honey if you talk to the manager and, just be frank. Look, I'm just beginning. We're going to shoot this movie, and let them know what it's about, and a lot of people, they are, it's not so much about the movie. They're, like you said, drawn to your passion about it. And, it's cross promotion. I've worked with, a lot of different community places, even the fire department. Oh, I went in with a letter that said, hey, we're shooting this film. It's kind of about, it was a music video. It's kind of about 9/11 a little bit. And he said, well, are you going to use any of the school kids that are doing video work? I said, yeah. I went over there to the school kids. They picked me out 2 of them. And I pulled them on as PAs. Nice. Next thing you know, they gave me a full truck with 3 firemen. Nice. They stayed there the whole day. I thought the sergeant came out to him. I thought he was pulling them, like, okay, this is over with. No, they was like, no, he's just giving us a check. So I was like, so we were like, do y'all want to suit up? So they suited up, put on their gas tanks, and ran into the building, that would look like it was on fire. It just added so much
awesome
production.
We had I was making a documentary once, and I never actually completed. I'm just confessing right now. Unfortunately, it just didn't happen. I lost my camera in between. I know, I feel awful. But anyways, I interviewed the DA, not the DA, but the assistant deputy DA, whatever it was. And he, was asking about the documentary and this and that. And, I was just getting some, legal information, for the film. Just wanted it, probably was going to just use maybe 2 minutes worth when we sat there for a half hour. Right. And he actually offered, he said, it was about drunk driving and stuff. And he said, if you want to, I know I can set you up with a helicopter scene, like the helicopters that come on scene to pick up, crash victims and stuff. I can set you up for something like that, and you can film that and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, that's like thousands of dollars if you were asking, to make a movie.
Right.
You know, it's just, you just don't know what people, when they like you, they'll just, and like what you're doing, they just never know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I said always, just, you'll get 1 million no's, but it only takes that one yes.
Right.
And, and keep it up front. This is what I'm doing. I wrote it down in a paper, then that way, hey, They got it in a little letter. I didn't do it in an email. I did it, directly to them. Go in, talk. And that was the best thing ever. They really worked with us. So, yeah.
That's amazing. Well, okay, so we're running out of time here, but I want 2 things from you.
Darn it.
I know, because this happens to me all the time.
There's so much to talk about. Oh, my God.
Well, we'll have to have you on again. And if you come to San Diego, we'll do one where we're sitting down together. Maybe we'll go to Les Stats, our podcast location. It's a coffee house. Let us know a little bit about those things that you were talking about before about like, for example, you've got 2 films coming out. One is coming out in June. The other one is coming out in 2 weeks, you said?
No, that's the card game that we have coming out in a few weeks here at the end of January. So the card game, Submerge Echo 51, it's a 2-player game, and it's really good game. People's had a blast with it. So we have the film Submerge Blue Star, which is the 5th film in the series. It will be out toward the end of June. And then we are trying to get funding for Submerge Galaxy of Subversion, which is it's going to be epic. Just the makeup people that we have involved. We're trying to work with some people that worked on Jurassic Park, nice. With the Raptors and things like that. So just really going in with it. So we're trying to get funding so we can start shooting by the end of this year, 2020, and that it'll be out in 2021. Oh man, that's a tongue twister.
Well, I just can't believe we're talking about the 20s like this,
I know,
it'll
right?
be out in 22. That would have sounded like, whenever then, but now that's like next year.
Right. So, working on that, we've got an animated series that will be out in February. Will be done by February. A young lady is working on an animated pilot for us, and we'll be putting that in film festivals.
So let me ask you now, for our listeners, what would be 3 key things you want them to get out of this episode, and including the whole franchising thing for their films, shooting with phones?
First of all, don't give up. You do it once, do it again, and keep going. And surround yourself. My third one. Surround yourself with people that know more than you. And you'll get your team and everything, but start surrounding yourself. Find local filmmaker places and people on Facebook or on Instagram, and see if in your community they're meeting, and find people that know more than you, and they'll help you go to the next level. And remember that your phone is always with you, and you can use it to make beautiful films. You can start there. You don't have to go out and go get real $1,000 equipment, but start with your phone. Use what you have available to you. Natural light. You have parks. You have homes, and just remember, just to you can Google everything you need to know almost about how to use and do these things. But the first step and the last is to go out and just do it.
Awesome. Well, what is your, I know you're on Instagram and I know you're on Facebook. Are you also on Twitter? You're not on Twitter, are you?
We are on Twitter. We're kind of, I need to
up your game.
Amp that. Yeah. It's like I'm trying to juggle all of this, It's just me. So doing all the marketing. So, but we are on there, and we just rebranded. So Submerge Universe. You can find us on all of the social platforms under Submerge Universe.
Great. Even on Twitter, that works, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you realize what you just said? You basically you've got this franchise, and it's just you that is doing it. Listen to that, guys. So for those of you making films, right, and you're going, it's just me. Should I be doing this? It's just me. This guy created a franchise, and it's just him. I just think that's awesome.
Yeah, well, and let me put this in there before we go. It's me writing and doing a lot of things, but it is most definitely a big team. I have a lot of people on board with me that is helping by now.
Yeah, but you're carrying the load,
Yeah. Yes. It is. And sometimes it seems like a lot, but you just keep pushing, and you know that you have the back of people,
I know you're going to think I'm corny, but I think passion is the superpower. It's that thing that people cannot beat. You can't go up and compete against passion. I mean, you just can't. Passion always wins.
Yes, it does. It does. You wouldn't be able to go 7 years or more. People have gone 50-something years with doing film. It is a passion. I love what I do, and I like to bring joy to people, or bring an escape for them to enjoy.
You rock. Well, and hey, speaking of rock, we're going to rock right out of here. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to leave everybody off by, if any of you have submitted films for the International Mobile Film Festival, you're going to find out really soon if your film was selected. And also, if your film was selected and you shot a short film, then, and by the way, that's between 1 and 5 minutes, you're looking at one of the judges. Well, you're not looking, you're listening. But I'm not really looking either. But great, wonderful guy. Met him in person. Definitely someone to follow, because this is a guy who believed in a dream and just made it happen. So if there's one person you want to follow, this is him. Thank you for being in our podcast, Demetrius.
Oh, thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to seeing you again in person, and I want to thank everybody for listening. And don't forget, you can go to dventertainmentpictures.com. That's D like in David, V like in Victor, entertainment pictures with an S.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Demetrius. Say goodbye to everybody.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody. And thanks for getting submerged.